Working on it. All right. Well, we're finally back live after everybody's vacations and tropical island paradises and so on and so forth. We're going to start off with a happy birthday to Nick. I had to tell him off air. He made me feel old. He turned the big 4-0 this year. So happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you, Roy. You know, take one vacation in 5 years and you're the
slacker,
the guy in the trap, the slacker in the tropics.
Yeah, now one vacation. You just got back from Hawaii before that, so I'm just going to point that out.
I took a long weekend for the 15th year anniversary. This is a year of big milestones. So
yeah, so I just had to pick on you with all that stuff, but
it's fair.
So we're back on here. I just got my computer back out of the shop. I've been down for about 2 weeks on all of this stuff, so it's been. I've been quiet here of late because I hadn't had a computer to talk. So, but we're here now. And one of the things that I want to jump into first is we want to have Mike give out his safety message for the week because it's very, very important. So,
it is very important. All right. Thanks, Roy. This week, actually month, is kind of going back to the basics. All right, doing a quality pre-trip and post-trip. Everybody does them. Everybody has to do them. But are you doing a quality pre-trip? You know, from the company standpoint, it's a lot easier and cheaper for us to fix or repair trucks that are here in the yard. You know, if a guy comes on out, does a good quality pre-trip on it, we can usually get on it, get it repaired versus down on the road. But, you know, the good things is our violations are down, enforcement is up. And those are the things that they're looking at on our logs. You know, those are form and manner violations. Are you doing a pre-trip? And you know what? 15 seconds on your log line does not equate to a good pre-trip. So I know you guys are always in your trucks and you know the general condition, but it's something that we've got to do. So, you know, on your approach, look at your vehicle, inspect for any damage. Tires, is there a puddle underneath your vehicle? Is it leaning? When you turn on your lights, are all your clearance lights on? It's the basics. Saves you time, saves you a ticket, saves the company a CSA score. It's just something that we've got to do, and we do it, and I think we do well. I think we can do better though. So that's kind of our message. And there'll be some videos that are going to be assigned this month on the safety message on that as well. So,
well, Russ Lindley says, "What's up, guys? Waving at you." Russ Lindley, drop trailers seem to be an issue with flat tires, bad post trip. Russ, I'm gonna jump in here because all of our trailers have those automatic inflators on them. Mm-hmm. It's not always that a person didn't have a flat tire when they dropped the trailer or a bad inspection. I'm going to defend some of it. Sure. When there's no air coming to it to maintain it, sometimes that happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that a lot of it can be with that automatic inflators, which are a great product as far as I'm concerned.
They are a great product, but it's the importance of doing the pre-trip before the airlines are hooked up and air is put to them. I know Russ, from the ones he ran into, the airline was actually busted. The auto inflate was actually busted at one of the valves. So, you know, that's something that somebody could have picked up on while under pre-trip. But I think that's a common thing. People take for granted the fact that we do have auto inflate, and it is a good thing to check that out, because if you notice it and your tire is flat, you can still operate it for the day, but you can get it to a spot where the repair can be made, because it's always best to get the repair made. If it's losing air, that's gonna place a drag on everything, including that tire. So always best to start your pre-trip with the air off.
So I'm going to give a big shout out to the shop. I had an issue last Friday that had to be repaired and get a set of steer tires. I pulled in late in the afternoon. They got it back on the road quickly. So I want to tell the guys in the shop, awesome. Got in there about 3:45 and was back on the road at 5 o'clock just in time to hit the bridge traffic going north. It was a real treat. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You got me going quickly, but I didn't get very far very quickly. So, and Mike, I'm going to tell you, you see my pre-trips as 1 minute on the line or whatever, but a lot of times I show up to my truck in the morning, do the walk around, do all that stuff, and then get on there. Mm-hmm. But just did get my clean, free, healthy inspection for you. So there you go.
There you go. Thank you for
that. So, I've been watching the news of late as well as everybody else has, and we kind of talked about this, and we're going to jump in and talk about the big convoy going on in Canada and the potential for one coming up. Hey, Austin Robertson, how you doing? It's another podcaster that I've had on my show. I think he's 14 or 15 and kicked up a notch this year. So thanks for watching, Austin. Glad to have you on here. That is kind of taken over the news headlines and things like that. So I'm going to jump in and share my 2 cents and then we're going to jump in and let Nick as an executive of a company jump in and share his. I'm watching this and I'm seeing that they're fighting over the vaccine mandates, and they had a common interest when they started this convoy. They went to this, and the common interest was the vaccine mandates and how it affects their everyday job, things like that, and standing up for it. I don't think that what they're doing is wrong, and I support what they're doing, and they're doing it correctly. You're not seeing out attacks on Capitol buildings, things like that. They're being disruptive, but in all sincerity, they're doing it in what when you hear of a peaceful protest, you're seeing a peaceful protest going on. Yes, they have the cities blocked up, bridges blocked up. It is what it is. As Americans, we take it for granted with the fact that they're doing something that's a peaceful protest. But people need to keep in mind that Canada is not a democracy, much like the United States. They don't have a constitution that guarantees certain rights, things like that. It's still based on parliament and things like that. So their laws are a little bit different. Now, we saw all the support. That is amazing to me, how much support is coming for this. I think it's great. Now we see American truck drivers planning on doing their own. On the surface, it sounds like a great idea. But nobody has came out and said, okay, our convoy in America, what are you going to Washington, D.C.? What's your goals? What do you expect to accomplish? Nothing's set out in that. And, there's a lot of underlying factors that we can get into. So I'm going to start with Nick and let him jump in with his thoughts on this as a company leader with 480 trucks I think we have now, roughly around there. I'm not sure the exact number. You're in a different position than most people are as a driver. So let's see your take on it.
Yeah, right. Well, starting out, been around drivers my entire life. Both my grandparents, as you know, were both truck drivers. My mom's dad and my dad's dad, both truck drivers and, skinners. So, I have, as a profession, I have just tremendous amount of respect for. Unfortunately, I don't think most of America shares the same respect for the truck driver. And over history, truck drivers have been excluded, have been labeled as certain ways, in very demeaning and derogatory ways. Truck drivers have been cast with labels. And it's unfortunate because, I've had the tremendous opportunity to work with thousands of great people who drive trucks professionally for a living. Some of them, even as high as PhD level in education, way higher than I've ever attained to, levels of understanding of advanced topics that even some of our most scholared individuals and universities would envy. So, truck drivers are diverse and well-intentioned bunch who go out and work really hard, exceptionally hard, far harder than most of the people who represent them. So you have this group of people who are out there every day, busting their chops, busting their butts, doing all the work to take care of a hungry and needy nation, and with very little voice. And throughout life, my grandpa worked in a Teamster environment, and back then it was, hey, the Teamster's going to take care of you. From the time Jimmy Hoffa got started with a strawberry load in Detroit, Michigan, to where it became everybody thought, hey, this is going to be there. This is going to be what protects us. These are workers' rights, only to have the very thing meant to protect the American truck driver, used to build casinos and spent in all sorts of illicit activities that never benefited the truck driver. Laws created that didn't benefit the truck driver, but instead benefited those that were there to take advantage of them. Anytime truck drivers have been effectively put into a large group, it's been used against them. And you see it with the larger carriers today coming out and saying that they're against the protests or against this, against that, and all that stuff. Well, I look at it and think everybody has a little bit of vested interest that they're probably speaking from. So I'm going to be careful not to go down any roads like that, because I'm instead, my view on it is a respect for the basic fundamental right of a human being to consider their options and weigh their options to do what's the best interest of their heart. That being said, when it comes to situations like this, there's oftentimes never a right answer. It may feel right to go, I'm going to go do something about this, but oftentimes that is, skipping a rock on a pond. It's eventually going to sink. So, you deal with it where you can talk to people who knowingly care and listen, but at the end of the day, you'll find those people are there and they're supportive and within your circle of influence that you can make a difference. I think oftentimes now we feel, and myself included, I'm sure each person who's listening at times feels that your voice becomes really, really small, and that people have the ability to create oppression in your life that weren't there before. They weren't there 2 years ago, weren't there 5 years ago, but now all of a sudden it feels like we're through mandates and the like, that our ability to choose and our ability to be free and our ability to take care of ourselves the way we choose has been diminished. And in many ways it probably has, but in many ways it is not as well. But I think what we're all searching for, what we're all struggling for, is to make peace with what's going on in the world right now. And that's a little bit more of a challenge. And we see that up in Canada. It's not so much an act of defiance where they block that bridge. It's kind of an act of desperation. And that's a process, a healing process that a person has to go through, and understanding that, does blocking the bridge solve anything? No. And is it a good thing? Absolutely not. It's dangerous. It's not good for the person inside of the truck. It's not good for all the medical equipment that needs to go back and forth to support, life and liberty of others. Our first rule in business here has always been, first step, do no harm. You always seek to try to live your life and run your business in a way that doesn't intentionally do harm upon somebody else, right? And then second is to do a lot of good, try to make things happen that create good in this world. And I think anytime a focus turns to doing the negative, to doing the stuff that's damaging, I think that's when you go down a pathway that's pretty hard to come back from. And no amount of doing that act is going to make you feel better. It's just only gets worse with the more of it that is experienced. So my take on it is, I have a love for American truck driver, for even the Canadian truck driver up there in the Great White North. I think the work that is done by each of you is commendable, and without exception is a critical requirement to the safety and well-being of humanity. Without the work that gets done by a truck driver, civilization is chaos. It's the one thing that separates our modern society from the, growing your own food and taking care of your own small little farm to try to survive. So much industrial advancements happened over the past 100 years as a result of the truck. So it goes without saying that the people who operate them are beyond important. They're critical. So I can definitely understand how people would feel slighted, especially when they're providing such an important resource and their thoughts and opinions aren't being heard. But my advice is to make your voice heard, but do so in a way that's productive and impactful, that you truly feel like it'll be collectively pushed forward. And we as a company try to put our weight behind that as well here locally to ensure that the voices that we hear from go to the voices that control government or that help control government, in hopes that our voice is heard collectively in that. So I'd be interested to hear anything that anybody thinks on that.
All right. Well, I'm going to share my 2 cents worth on this. And I thought long and hard. Me and my dad, we fall very differently on the political landscape. We're 180 degrees out in our politics, but we talk every day, and we may infuriate each other, but we continue to talk and have these talks. But number one, there are other ways to do this other than basically blocking up Washington, D.C., which sucks already. I don't know why anybody would want to go there to start with and drive. That's just my personal opinion. Been there, done that, and nothing. But here's some couple of things. Number one, if you get a group of drivers together, and this is nothing against drivers, I'm one of them. We sit in there, we have discussions. You can't get 5 drivers to agree that the sky's blue. So, number one, what you're going to go up there to protest or create, everybody has a different opinion. We all know that we want something different. We want changes to go. If you want to do this effectively and easily, and the object is just what you were saying, Nick, truck drivers can impact the economy, the supply chain, everything involved, very simply. Instead of driving to Washington, D.C. to do this stuff, collectively, every driver, and this is where I have to be careful because Nick's my boss and Mike's my boss, so I have to be careful how you do this. But if you really wanted to affect it, is you could pick out a week of any month of the year, March 15th through the 20th. Every truck driver go home. Set it home for a week. That's all you got to do. Don't go spend time with your family. Go take a trip to the beach. Industry stops. It's an impact. People see it. Second thing you can do, DMV is a motor voter registration spot. Imagine if 10 million truck drivers showed up at the DMV the next week and registered to vote. Your voice is going to be heard without ever casting a vote. They're going to see that. That's why AARP, all of the retirement associations have such an impactful voice on congressional leadership. People pay attention to voter blocks. You can very simply change that if every truck driver went to the DMV in the next 10 days and voted or registered to vote. I guarantee you people are going to take notice of what you have to say. 10 million new voters registered in a week, they're going to listen to what you have to say. Nothing has to be done other than your 30 minutes or an hour of sitting there dealing with the crap at the DMV. It's not hard to do. If you really want to affect change, number one, vote. Exactly. Go register to vote and vote. If you want it changed, make your voice heard. Make your vote heard. Then you have nothing. My only concerns with all of this stuff going there, and I don't mean this to sound crappy, and I'm not anti-gun, I'm not anti-anything. We all know that there are a lot of drivers that carry firearms. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but it's not spelled out in the rules, whatever. It's not even a discussion I want to have. But you're going to Washington, D.C., you're planning on going to Washington, D.C. in a situation that's already heated. You're going to bring a firearm. You're asking for extra trouble you don't need. It gives everybody that's involved in this a black eye. So that's all I ask people, to be mindful of that. And know what you want to accomplish when you get there and do that. If you're going to do that and be a part of it, I support everybody's freedom of choice and opinion to do all of that stuff, and I'm with you 100%. Yes, it's about personal freedom, so on and so forth. But blocking up traffic and stopping emergency services and things like that, not always the best choice to do. That's just my honest opinion on it. There's other things you can do that will have a greater impact, in my opinion.
Vote.
Yep. So I don't know what your thoughts are on with that, Nick, but that's just that's how I think you can affect it.
Absolutely. The only thing I'd add to it is to take care of yourself, to make sure that you spend time in being thoughtful and in your own headspace and clearing out these things that you're feeling, because it's everywhere and it's impacting everyone. There's nobody that's not fallen victim to it. Voting is a critical element of our democracy, and Roy is right. And as more truck drivers combine in their vote, the more that voice will be heard in a collective. AARP is a perfect example. The school union's another one. These people have long realized that their ability to vote is a dangerous weapon towards getting what they want. It's unfortunate, in my opinion, the very type of politician that would agree to take money in order to exchange it for the benefit of one section or another is probably the exact wrong type of politician we want in office. But unfortunately, that is some of the issue we face. But you have an opportunity to vote. You have an opportunity to voice it. And you also have an opportunity to write to your Congress, Senate, ATA, and make those things heard. You can join us on a podcast and talk about how you're feeling. Honestly,
you're welcome to come on and talk with us. Yeah, I put Kirk Ipock up there. He said correct, talking with what you had to say, Nick. I know you don't know who he is, but Kirk Ipock owns Solid Rock Carriers over in North Carolina. Runs a NASCAR truck team. They won Talladega this past year, so he listens in. Jim P. Demon, that was funny, Roy. Yeah, I'm being honest. These are my bosses. I have to be careful what I say on here sometimes and be regulated because, hey, not saying that they would do something like that or anything like that, but you got to know when you walk that fine line, you have to be careful with what you say. Now, with everything that's going on right now with the political landscape and the things that you're talking about, I'm going to tell you what I see right now that we could really see this next presidential election. I think we're setting in the situation where we could actually see our first third-party candidate president actually win an election, because I just read a story this morning in the New York Times that basically said the Democrats are sick and tired of Biden and want changes in the White House. They're all throwing him to the wayside. Number one, you have all the talk of Hillary looking at possibly making another presidential bid. I don't remember a time when you've seen a same party candidate this far out talking about a presidential election with things that are going on. And we just saw a major upset in New Jersey when you saw a truck driver for a $200 budget got kicked out, a lifetime politician out. People are fed up with it, and I've said all along, until you start electing some person that has a general concept, and I hate to say it, until you can find somebody and elect somebody to president that can tell you what a gallon of milk costs at the store today, nothing is going to change. And I'm sorry, Trump couldn't probably tell you what the cost of a gallon of milk at the grocery store is. He has somebody that shops for him. He doesn't go to the store. We very seldom see politicians at a store buying groceries. If we did, you'd see TMZ and everything else there talking about it. So you need to find people that are in touch with what's going on, and then we need to find politicians that are not. It used to be public service was exactly what it was, public service. People went there to accomplish something honest and helpful. Now people get into it and they use it as a tool to financially gain or gain power. I mean, how many times have we seen politicians start out with $100,000 net worth, and then when they leave office, it's a $500 million net worth? There's a problem. I think everybody knows it.
I think that's always been there, Roy. Is the one caveat I'd say to that, I think with technology nowadays, it's far more easy. It's much easier for the average American to see it. I think there's always been some element of challenge related to politics and self-gratification, but nowadays it's everywhere right in front of you. The second thing I'd note is that, we're kind of we're like a recycling department for candidates. It just seems like we get the same stuff over and over again. Same people, same angst, same energy around saying something, same desire to say one thing and do something completely different. They shake one hand, look over here, look at my hand, look at my hand, look at my hand, and they steal from your pocket with the other one. And it's just, they use it to get you on their side. I'm for this, I'm for that. But in the meantime, what they're really about is whatever lobbyist is helping them maintain that spot on the top of the hill. And it's unfortunate. It's byproduct. I think the more we can get a third party candidate, fourth party candidate, fifth party candidate, that's exactly what America needs right now. We need to, back in the 90s, we had Ross Perot, and that made granted that caused some political shifts just having a third party candidate, but it created different dialogue. It was truly an interesting discussion. And, in this age where we have the same kind of element of people, something outside the box would be good if they mean well.
Nick Campos for president. We're going to start the write-in campaign.
Write-in campaign. I'll get all 8.
Huh?
I'll get all 8. Maybe I'll take North Portland.
Yes.
All right. So I talked with Jim Dingman, who's been on the show recently, and he said right now, freight for this time of year is at an all-time high. What are y'all seeing as far as the freight cycles and things like that going on? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm worn out. I'm working more local stuff. That's killing me. But anyway, we'll just leave it at that.
It's robust. The market is robust. We're making some operational changes in terms of where we're trying to position ourselves. And from a lane standpoint, it's effective. We're definitely hitting SoCal a lot harder and a lot more than we have previously in extending that length of haul out. But yeah, lots of business, and we're seeing a lot of the volumes move regional as warehouses look to fulfill from a smaller end mile standpoint. There's a lot of inefficiency still in supply chains, a lot of inefficiency in shippers and how they do things and how receiving's going. And but we're hoping to continue to work through that and push through that, and believe that will come out and work out in time. But yeah, it's a robust, maybe not the most robust, but it's a robust first quarter. Yeah, we're busy and working hard at it. So I'm glad you're feeling it, Roy. I hope you're getting good rest as well, I hope.
Oh, I always get good rest. My off time has suddenly become very filled up. For those of y'all that don't know, I just started a streaming service. We just streamed our first race on February 5th at Stockton. It went very, very well. We're actually streaming this out over Speed Union TV, which is where it's at. So if y'all want to check that out, you can see some stuff on there. We got all of our apps are launched with the exception of Amazon. Our Amazon is not up going yet, but we're on Apple, Roku, all of that stuff. So, yeah, it's been a very good year for that too as well. But
congratulations.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you, we started seeing a lot of the stuff in news with the trains getting, for lack of a better word, attacked at LA and things like that. Are you starting to see maybe some more freight going back over the road versus the trains and things like that? Are you seeing that slow down possibly?
No, the sheer amount of freight in the marketplace right now and the lack of capacity, I think, is forcing shippers' hands to keep things on the rail. But talk about the lowest of lows. I think many of you have seen the videos and see what the pictures of how that looks. It is never okay to steal somebody else's property. It doesn't matter if it's, out of somebody's house, out of their car, out of a massive conglomerate's trailer that they're shipping their product from one location to another. It doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't matter how much money a person has, how little they'll miss it. None of that stuff matters. Theft is theft. It's wrong. And the very same reason we talk about, protests and doing things that don't harm others, the same can be said for not stealing, not breaking windows in riotous fashions inside of cities, burning up things and creating violence, damaging or stealing people's cars or camping in the sidewalks. It's the same things can be said for, and maybe not camping on the sidewalks, but for making massive messes around parts of our cities and streets. We all would do well in having a little bit of pride in who we are, where we come from, and what we represent as a country. Having just gone to Mexico, not exactly a foreign land, but to Mexico, you look at the great pride that those people have, even with the small amount that they have in their life from a total overall wealth standpoint. We in America have a great deal to be thankful for, and a great deal to be responsible for. So, I think it behooves us all to remember that when making decisions. So when I see something like that in a U.S. city with so much damage, it sickens me to my core, because I know that's not who we are as a society, and I just think we're so much better than that.
Yeah. Well, Chris Lawrence, her husband, racist, and I know Chris Lawrence real well. She works in the medical industry. She says, "Let's Go Truckers" is the best thing to happen in the world in many years. Chris, I feel sorry for you, because I know that we had our stuff thrown out in the courts, and I'm sorry you have to go through what you're going through, because I wouldn't trade your job with mine any day of the week, because you got a crappy job, and you're another one that needs a hand salute. People that work in the medical field, you got my salute all the time. Couldn't do it under any circumstances. So
that's another industry that's had a great deal of mandate and choice taken away from it, and have struggled with the fallout from it for sure.
Yeah. Tim Tamarius has a question for the company wise. A while ago, Nick mentioned the company was trying to get a relay set up, and that's why we needed space at Rice Hill. How's that coming along?
We've made some changes in that. We're trying to do that more for hitting Northern California, but we've stretched out a little bit further to trying to get people to spots that give a little better miles. So Tim, I'll call you about that and explain to you where we're going. But we're kind of moving away from the Rice Hill idea and towards a different, I think, a situation that'll be more beneficial for all involved, all of our drivers, based on feedback from everybody.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out, and we're at a good part here, I wanted to bring up and discuss the whole convoy thing, because I had a message. I don't know, Nick, if you got a chance to read those through the comments that came in, or the messages that came in to the Trucker Talk page there. But basically, I got called all kinds of nice names in the conversation yesterday, and told how bad truckers were, and it was so hard not to be.
Oh, no.
I didn't see that. Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, you should go in there and read the comments to that page. You're a comp. But anyway, it said, "Good riddance to truckers. Hope y'all all go away." And it's hard not to say, well, enjoy what you don't have at your house. But anyway, I did politely tell him, "Thank you for your opinion. I'm glad that you support the Constitution, and you're right to say what you want to, same as I do." So just have to give a big shout out to that person, because hopefully they're watching today. We invited it on to talk about it, but it's very hard for me not to say anything, because it's Trucker Talk sponsored by Market Express, and I don't speak for Market Express. So everybody needs to understand that. My opinions do not represent Market Express, and I have to make sure everybody knows that distinction. So,
gosh, Roy, that hurts. I'm sorry you got to have an experience like that, because what hurts is, tonight truck drivers all over the U.S. are going to be up at 2 a.m. delivering food to grocery stores, including you, right? You're going to get up at dark 30, and you're going to go out there, and you're going to bump some dock, and you're going to unload every most of everything that person's going to need when they go to that grocery store, and they take it for granted. They show up to the grocery store and they go through those automatic doors, and there it is, the bounty. Anything they can put on their credit card, they can have, and they push the cart through, and they just expect it to be there. If a shelf's bare, they go and they ask the manager, "Oh, where's my exotic quinoa that I normally eat?" It's just like all that stuff becomes so important. Where's my Brazilian coffee? Like all this stuff is there, but it's there because of the hard work for that quinoa to get there, the ship that it had to go through, and then the port drayage and the cross dock, and then the truckload, then the consolidation, then another cross dock, then finally a store delivery to get it there. All touching semi trucks all the way through the process. And a person typically doesn't understand that. They'll instead put their voice towards trying to have a curfew. Oh, we can't deliver during these hours because I'm trying to sleep, and making it difficult for that guy to pull into a spot to deliver, cutting the truck off. That's what upsets truck drivers. This convoy situation, when you get down to the bare root of this and you go, why is somebody feeling this way? It's not because of a vaccine mandate. People have all had shots, forget the shots. This has everything to do with respect. And that's what I wish people would understand, empathize, put yourself in a truck driver's shoes of what they have to face. And then maybe for one brief second, stop and say thank you. And in your daily actions, do things that are kind and considerate to those people who are only out there supporting you. And I'm sure nurses feel the same way. They're out there dealing with people coming in ill, sick, beat up every time. And they stay there and they do it. Truck drivers, what do you do the next day after you deal with some jerk that does something? The next day, what do? You hit the alarm clock and you get up and you go do it again for another 14 hours. Like nobody gets it. And I really wish I really wish that more of the common citizens could take a ride along. It should be on the news every night.
All right, so I'm going to share the last statement this gentleman made, and then I will share my response. It says, the president had no choice but to do what he did. If he wanted to be reelected, because there are millions upon millions of small businesses and those people vote. And I seriously doubt if they will vote for the dickhead ex-president that we just voted out. Goodbye and good riddance, truckers. And here's my response. I said, thank you for your thoughtfulness and help to understand your opinions. We will continue to do the best we can. We are not politicians or social reformers. I hope you will continue to enjoy the life liberties we Americans know and love.
Yeah.
I did it politely, and that's what I dealt with. And I have to say, I've been doing a podcast for a year, and that's the first shitty comment I've had since I've been doing all of this stuff. So it was like, I had to spend a lot of time to think of that response and do it tactfully, because that's a very tough thing to do for me. If any of y'all know me outside of the podcast, I say what's on my mind, and it's usually not the most nice thing. So
I am surprised.
Yeah, it's very eloquent.
See, there you go.
Good for you, Roy.
I don't know if I would have been that eloquent. That's nice.
Yeah.
I learned to be. That's how you know it pissed me off. I'm eloquent. So
yeah, that's right.
So it says, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick, for recognizing our daily grind. Mike talks say too much. Mike's on here to talk safety and add things about things. We all need a safety lesson out here every week, or a safety reminder. I don't care how long you've been driving. We all do dumb stuff. I did one last week. I told Mike about it. That's part of the repairs I had to do. I turned short in the parking lot, pulled the pigtail out of my truck. It is what it is. We all do something dumb. It was a tight parking lot. It happens. So you always need a brief safety reminder. I hate to say it. I don't care if you got 100 million miles. You need a safety reminder. So, but no, definitely thank you for your time, guys. And we'll hop off here. And we'll see y'all next week. And we'll end it right here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit the share button.
Be safe out there. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks, drivers.